Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Number 1. Today's video takes us deep into the heart of American coinage to uncover the secrets of a coin you might have passed over without a second glance, the 1972 Washington quarter. Yes, that ordinary-looking quarter sitting in your change jar could actually be hiding an extraordinary story, and possibly an extraordinary value. So stick around, because you're about to learn how one small coin from over 50 years ago is turning heads in the numismatic world, and why yours might be worth far more than just 25 cents. Let's get started. First, let's travel back to the early 1970s. The Vietnam War was still ongoing. Richard Nixon was president. Gas was cheap, bell-bottoms were in style, and arcade games were just beginning to pop up. Amid all of this, the United States Mint was continuing its routine work of producing coins for everyday use. Among them, the Washington quarter, which had already become a staple of American pockets since its introduction in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, the 1972 quarter didn't look too different from the ones that came before it. It featured the same iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse, facing left, with the word Liberty arching above and the date 1972 stamped clearly beneath his chin. The reverse still showed the proud eagle, wings outstretched, perched atop a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbols of strength and peace. But here's the thing, not all 1972 Washington quarters were created equal. While most were minted for mass circulation, a few were struck with unusual characteristics, accidents during minting, variations in die alignment, or inconsistencies in the metal composition. These aren't always visible at first glance, but to a trained eye, or a lucky one, they can be the difference between an everyday coin and a collectible treasure. Point: one of the most exciting things about coin collecting is that history often hides in plain sight. You don't need to dig up an ancient ruin to discover something valuable. Sometimes, it's right there in your pocket change, waiting to be noticed. And when it comes to the 1972 Washington quarter, there are a few specific traits collectors are looking for. Some of these coins were struck with what collectors call a double die. That means the design was imprinted twice during minting, but slightly off alignment. The result? A noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. The word Liberty might appear fuzzy or layered. The date might seem slightly shadowed or have a ghostly twin. To the average person, it might just look like a smudge. But to a collector, it's a signal, a potential jackpot. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned. Or quarters with unusual metal compositions, like if a planchet meant for another coin accidentally made its way into the quarter press. These anomalies are rare, but they're not impossible. And when found, they become instant stars in the coin collecting world. And now, here's where it gets really exciting. Most 1972 quarters, especially those that have been circulated heavily, are still worth just 25 cents. Maybe a little more if they're in nice condition, maybe a couple of dollars if they're nearly mint. But those rare examples, the ones with the double dies, the off-center strikes, or other minting errors, well, that's a different story altogether. Collectors and dealers are always on the hunt for these exceptional pieces. And when one shows up at an auction in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, especially with a recognized minting error, bidding can skyrocket. So here's the question, could you be holding one of these rare coins without even knowing it? Now might be a good time to check that old piggy bank. Or sift through the coins in your glove compartment. Because one such 1972 Washington quarter, featuring a rare minting error and preserved in exceptional condition, recently sold for an eye-popping amount, not thousands. Not even tens of thousands. We're talking 68,000 United States dollars. Yes, you heard that right. 68,000. For a single quarter. It's stories like these that fuel the passion of collectors around the world and remind us all that treasure isn't just buried under the sea or hidden in a cave. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. So next time you come across a 1972 quarter, take a closer look. You never know, you just might be holding a piece of history and a small fortune. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to uncover treasure right from your couch. Until next time. Number 2. Where we uncover the hidden stories behind some of the world's most surprising and valuable coins. Today's episode is all about a humble little piece of American change, the 1974 Washington quarter. At first glance, it may seem just like any other coin. But believe me, this particular year holds secrets that could turn your everyday pocket change into a collector's dream. So sit tight, because what we're about to reveal might just inspire you to start digging through your spare coins. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a potential treasure hunt. Let's rewind the clock to 1974. It was a year full of dramatic headlines and major events. Richard Nixon was battling the Watergate scandal. The nation was still healing from the Vietnam War. Gasoline prices were soaring. But amidst all the political and economic chaos, the U.S. Mint was quietly continuing its job of producing coins for the American people. And one of those coins, the 1974 Washington Quarter, would go on to become a standout piece for reasons no one could have expected at the time. Since its first issue in 1932, the Washington Quarter had already become a classic. It features a strong, simple portrait of George Washington on the front, designed by John Flanagan. On the back, an eagle spreads its wings wide, standing proudly above a bundle of arrows, with olive branches below symbolizing peace. It's a familiar image to most Americans, but in 1974, some versions of this coin came out just a little different. Here's where it gets interesting. During the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metal compositions in preparation for the country's bicentennial celebrations in 1976. These experiments led to some unexpected minting anomalies. Although the 1974 quarter was still made with the standard copper-nickel clad composition, a few rare examples may have been struck on experimental or transitional planchets, metal blanks intended for other coins or future designs. That makes these specific pieces extremely rare and highly valuable to collectors, and that's not all. A few 1974 Washington quarters are known to display striking errors, double dies, off-center impressions, or missing design elements caused by worn-out dies or misaligned minting equipment. These errors are rare, but they do happen. And when they do, they create coins that are one of a kind. Unique. Irreplaceable. And when collectors find them, they're willing to pay a serious premium. Now let's talk about condition, because it matters. A coin that's been heavily circulated, scratched up, or worn down from years of use will never fetch the kind of prices we're talking about today. But a 1974 quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition? That's a whole different story. These coins have been carefully stored, protected from the elements, and preserved in the state they were in the day they left the mint. Some of them even received professional grading from companies like PCGS or NGC, confirming their authenticity and value. Imagine this: a coin you might have tossed into a vending machine or left forgotten in a drawer could actually be worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands, if it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and a little bit of minting magic. So how do you know if you have a rare 1974 Washington quarter? Start by checking for unusual features. Look closely at the lettering. Do any of the words appear doubled or shadowed? Is the strike off-center? Is the surface unusually smooth or textured? If something seems off, that might be your first clue. And of course, if the coin appears flawless, no scratches, dents, or fading, it could already be in high demand simply because of its excellent preservation. Collectors are always on the hunt for these rare variants. They scan coin shows, online auctions, estate sales, and even local flea markets hoping to find one. And when one of these rare 1974 quarters comes up for sale, the competition can get fierce, which brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. One of these rare 1974 Washington quarters, featuring a unique minting anomaly and preserved in nearly perfect condition, was recently sold at auction for an astonishing amount. Not $5,000, not $20,000, it was purchased for a grand total of $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. $65,000 for a single quarter. It just goes to show, never underestimate the power of a coin. What seems ordinary might be extraordinary. What appears worthless could actually be priceless. So before you toss that handful of change into the tip jar or the parking meter, take a closer look. That one quarter might be your ticket to an unbelievable payday. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss out on more amazing coin stories just like this one. You never know what might be hiding in your pocket. Number 3. We're cracking open a mystery surrounding one of the most overlooked coins in your everyday pocket change, the 1979 P. Washington quarter. Now I know what you're thinking, 1979? That doesn't sound that old. And sure, it might not be ancient Roman or Civil War era metal, but let me tell you, this one has a story. And for a few lucky people, it's turned into a serious payday. So, grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's unravel the surprising truth behind a coin you've probably held 100 times without knowing it could be worth a fortune. Let's take it back to the late 70s. The year is 1979. America was entering a new era. Disco was at its peak, inflation was on the rise, and the US Mint was operating full speed ahead to meet the demands of a growing economy. At the Philadelphia Mint, millions, literally hundreds of millions, of Washington quarters were produced that year. The Washington quarter had already been around for decades, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, by sculptor John Flanagan, had become a familiar face across the country, the bold profile of George Washington on the front, with an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows on the back. But even among the millions of 1979 quarters produced, a few very special ones managed to stand out. And not because of how they looked at first glance, but because of the tiny, rare errors and hidden traits that collectors today are desperate to find. So what makes a 1979 P quarter so special? First off, let's talk about that P Mint mark. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint. That year, the Mint produced over 515 million quarters, an astronomical number. But with high-speed production comes the occasional mistake. And these mistakes, known in the coin world as mint errors, are what makes certain 1979 P quarters not just interesting, but potentially life-changing. One of the most sought-after versions is the double die obverse. That means the design was struck twice, but just slightly off, causing the text or numbers to appear doubled. It might be most visible on the word liberty, the phrase "In God We Trust," or even the date, 1979. The doubling might be subtle, but to a trained eye or a lucky finder, it's like spotting a diamond in the rough. Another variety is the off-center strike, where the entire design is shifted slightly due to misalignment during minting. Then there's the clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin is missing entirely. Or the transitional error, where a 1979 quarter might have been accidentally struck on a leftover planchet from another year or denomination. These errors are extremely rare, but when they happen, collectors go wild for them, and of course, there's always the condition factor. A coin in brilliant, uncirculated condition is going to be worth significantly more than one that's been rattling around in someone's pocket for 40 years. The most valuable coins are those that have been perfectly preserved, no scratches, no wear, no tarnish. They might even receive a professional grading, confirming their status as MS67 or higher. That grading alone can increase a coin's value dramatically, but here's the twist. Most people have no idea what they're looking at. That's what makes this coin so fascinating. A 1979 P quarter might pass through dozens of hands in a single week, tossed into tip jars, used at parking meters, slipped into vending machines, completely ignored. But if you take the time to examine yours closely, you might just be staring at a collector's dream. Think about it. How many people throw coins into jars, drawers, or glove compartments without a second thought? That quarter you've been holding onto since your childhood chore money days? It might be one of the rare ones, and here's the part that's blown people away. Among the known rare varieties of the 1979 P quarter, one exceptional specimen was discovered to have a rare mint error and was preserved in absolutely flawless condition. It wasn't just rare, it was unique. And when it hit the auction block, it didn't just attract collectors, it made headlines. The final sale price, let's just say it wasn't a few $100s, it wasn't even a few thousand. That one small quarter, the 25-cent piece minted in 1979 in Philadelphia, ended up being worth an incredible total of $58,000, yes, $58,000. So the next time you get change at the gas station or dig into the back of your couch cushions, take a closer look. That ordinary coin in your hand might just be the next hidden gem. Your everyday pocket change could be worth more than a new car, maybe even more than your entire coin collection. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you love rare coin stories like this one, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more amazing finds, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next hidden treasure. Keep your eyes open, and as always, happy hunting.